So I do get a lot of questions regarding certain products that I use or what is all over this desk setup that's behind me. And I've actually created a few videos in the past detailing some of my older desk setups. But since I moved to a slightly different office in the same building, the desk setup had to transform a bit. And so in this video, we're going to go over some of my favorite accessories and products that I use with my Mac desk setup. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to get notifications whenever we share a video. Now, a lot of these products can be used with just about any Mac out there, and not just the Mac Pro that's sitting back there on the desk or the 13-inch MacBook Pro that I also use from time to time, but any Mac that you might have, most of these accessories will work out for you. And the first accessory, it's really not an accessory, but more of the staple of a desk setup, and that is the desk itself. This is an L-shaped desk from Autonomous, and it's the first time that I've ever had a proper L-shaped desk before, and I absolutely love having all of this space. There's plenty of room to feature all of the products that I'm going to talk about in this video, like these pretty large speakers and my Mac Pro that's even up on the desk and not on the floor. And there's still an entire work area to my right over here that just, I use for writing out documents or maybe just writing on my iPad Pro or using my iPad Pro in general. There's just a lot of space to work with. What makes this L-shaped desk unique, in my opinion, is that it still offers sit-stand functionality. That's not something that I've really seen before in a traditional L-shaped desk. So you can have all of this space and room for your setup, but still get the benefits of being able to sit or stand when you want to. When I was moving into this office, I measured out this room and I figured an L-shaped desk was going to be the best kind of option for me, but I didn't want it to be too clunky or big, and I actually couldn't afford for it to be that big or clunky, and this desk just actually fits perfectly, and it's able to be height adjusted, which is a huge bonus, and it's not super big or just, unnecessarily large. I've got everything that I need here, and it was just a good choice for me. I do primarily use my Mac Pro, but sometimes I'll take a project home and use my 13-inch MacBook Pro. But then when I get back to the office, I might want to continue working on something that I have on my MacBook. So a good dock or stand is something that I think all MacBook Pro owners should pick up. And the new vertical dock stand from Bridge is one that I have been using a lot lately. I usually like a clean desk, and I don't want a whole lot of cables or plugs being plugged in and kind of out in the open. And if you don't really need to expand the ports on your Mac, but you just want something that docks or stands up and is kind of tucked out of the way, but you still have access to the two Thunderbolt 3 ports that you still need, well then this could be a great option for you. The MacBook Pro just slides in vertically, and the two USB-C ports connect directly to that dock, and then on the back of the dock are two USB-C Thunderbolt 3 ports, so you don't lose out on any of the ports that you already had on your Mac, and it's a lot easier to plug in things using this dock as opposed to some of the other stands, and it just looks a lot better in my opinion. For some people like myself, these two ports are plenty, but if you're looking for something to expand or have a bit more functionality, maybe add a couple of USB Type A ports, which a lot of people do want, then I recommend checking out the Thunderbolt 3 hub from OWC, which I will leave link in the description down below alongside everything else that's mentioned in this video. Now, when I'm on the go, I do like to edit my projects off of an external SSD to keep my internal SSD from filling up with raw footage, and my portable drive of choice is the SanDisk Extreme Pro. This little guy, and I do mean little because compared to some of my other drives, it's incredibly small and very, very light. In fact, sometimes I feel like it might be a bit too light, and it could be a little easy to break, but it's definitely been something that's held up really, really well. It's built with really good materials, and it's very rugged, despite what you might think by just looking at it at first glance. The drive uses an NVMe SSD that can give users data transfer speeds of up to 1,050 megabytes per second. It's IP55 water resistant and can be configured up to 2 terabyte options. For peripherals, I'm using the new Logitech MX Master Keys and MX Master 3 Mac Edition keyboard and mouse. What makes these products different from the original versions or the Mac editions of these products is that you can actually download specific profiles for Mac apps using the Logitech Options app. Downloading a profile for a specific app allows users to remap buttons or keys to specific shortcuts for that specific application. You can also remap those buttons for the entire operating system, but I really like that I can choose between just the profile for the specific app or to have it be system-wide. It's incredibly useful and gives me the ability to make each product more in line with my workflow for apps like Google Chrome, Final Cut Pro, Photoshop, etc. The MX keys in Master 3 are also really well designed, and they not only look great, but they feel great, especially the mouse, which is ergonomically designed to fit your hand and have your hand rest at the perfect angle to avoid any pain in your wrists over a long period of time. The keyboard is very quiet. It's actually a little too mushy at times for my liking. I prefer a little bit more clicky feedback, but that's just me. It really hardly makes any noise at all, but it feels super smooth to type on. There's plenty of custom buttons, and it can pair with up to 3 different products at one time. Same with the MX Master 3. And of course, it has the custom profiles, which are a huge deal for those who really want to take control of those specific apps that we talked about. The big black speakers behind me, well, those are from Yamaha. These are the Yamaha HS5s. These are kind of a staple set of great balanced speakers that really offer up that flat sound profile in order to allow audio engineers the ability to get that more natural mix and separation when working on a large project with multiple instruments during a mix. It's also extremely helpful whenever I do any in-depth sound editing for videos. These speakers are not usually meant for casual listening of music or media consumption as much as they are for reference when working with audio. But I'll be honest, I'll throw music on these guys all the time, and I think they still sound really good. Everything is clear, punchy, and it's capable of getting really, really loud. Now, driving the bus for these monitors is the Universal Audio Apollo Twin X digital interface. And it really looks cool. I really love that big button in the center. Obviously, it's great for controlling the volume, and it offers tons of functionality. It's all Thunderbolt 3 compatible, and so everything that I plug into this interface gets pushed to my Mac via one Thunderbolt 3 cable. I actually use this interface to not only power my speakers, but to connect my Mac seamlessly with any instruments that I plug in directly via the front 2 ports, or on the back there are some more XLR ports for microphones that I use for voiceovers, which I do a lot on this channel, so it's really useful to just have that right there ready to go. Last but not least, webcams are crucial these days, and the Pro Display XDR really doesn't have a camera on it at all. And to be quite honest, the FaceTime cameras on my MacBook Pro or my regular MacBook Air are not super great either, and so the Logitech Brio 4K webcam just easily attaches to any of the screens that I have, including my MacBook Pro, and offers up some really great video at 4K 30 frames per second, or you can even adjust the settings to 1080p at 60 frames per second. This webcam even has HDR technology built in, so when you're in a bright office setting like I'm in now, the background won't be so overexposed or super bright, and everything looks just really good. I don't use webcams all too often, or at least I didn't, but now that video calls are the new normal for communicating with friends, families, coworkers, etc., I was blown away by all the features that this webcam has to offer. More specifically, the fact that you can zoom in up to 5 times with a webcam and maintain that quality during a live stream. Personally, I didn't know you could do that with webcams these days, but they've grown a whole lot, and I would recommend picking this up if you have any other external monitor, or if you want to use it with your MacBook directly, you can absolutely do that. But if you're using a Pro Display XDR, you might want to pick up the magnetic 4K webcam from Logitech. It's basically the same thing, but it's kind of primarily made for this monitor, so it would work out a little bit better. But that's it. These are some of my favorite accessories that I use for really any Mac setup that I might have. I'll take some of these things home if I decide to work from home for a long period of time, but I'm mostly stationary at this desk, and these are the products that I really enjoy using. And so I would love to know your thoughts on everything that you just saw here, and if there's a favorite accessory of yours that you want us to know, please let us know in the comments down below. This has been Dan with Mac Rumors. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you around in the next video.